Hi folks, the video that you're about to watch, you will see scrapping done. I process a bunch of non-ferrous and make 3 scrapyard runs. Not everything is caught on video, it's kind of chopped up, but the content, verbal content, could possibly offend people, frighten people, scare people, or not. I'm just giving a warning up front, not because I don't want you to watch it. I just want you to have fair warning. I do use a couple of cuss words to tell the tale. And you'll understand why if you watch. Thank you for watching. I love all of you. So I thought about what to talk about. And I want to keep it as abridged as possible. And what I thought about talking about is about me and my life. And some of you, when you hear this, are not going to believe it. Seriously. Are not going to believe it, or you're going to think I'm BSing. Right, where are you here? I know you're there, right there. But I promise you, every word I'm telling you is the truth. Without question, it's the truth. Trust me. All right? We'll start. I was born April 29th, 1962. My father's name was Jimmy D. Warren. That's right, D. Doesn't stand for anything. It was just an initial. D. My mother's name at the time was Lena Beatrice Williams. She had been married once before. We're just going to cut the ends off of that and put it in there. And she had one other child, my older half-sister. Now I'll tell you my mother's name, my father's name, but the rest of the names I tell you are going to be either first name only or last name only. And I do this for a reason. Morning. I'm talking to my camera. That's why I'm not nuts. And the reasons why will become apparent as I tell you what happened, what my life has been about. All right, so number 2, insulated. Woohoo! At the time I was born, unbeknownst to me, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so I'll tell you this in a bit. In my early childhood, I don't remember ever having a man in the house. I don't remember a man being in the house until I was roughly, to my memory, till I was about 5 years old. And then one day, well, in the interim, while there was no man in the house, you're young, you don't know anything about the birds and the bees. I remember early, as a small boy, my mother pushing a 4-wheel baby buggy, holding my hand while I'm walking alongside, And we went up to a merchant's truck that was giving out bags of rice, sugar, powdered milk, and beans. So I'm assuming at the time, now in retrospect, that we were poor. We didn't have much. So, let's see, any more in here? Yeah, I'm gonna clip that off. So, and I knew too that I had an older sister. Yeah, I want to clean all this off eventually here, so. How about just cooperate for now? Just stay right there. Cords come first. So, then all of a sudden, there's a man in my life. That man turned out to be my stepfather. And he and my mother got married on December 30th, 1966. So, just shy of 4 years after I was born. And I knew him as Dad. He was my dad. Right? Well, to make a long story short, later on in life, while I was in school, there was a girl that lived across the alley from us. Her name was Debbie. And she was friends with my younger sister, because Debbie had a younger sister named Robin. And Debbie and Robin would hang around my younger sister, Patricia. They would play with dolls and stuff like that, listen to music, whatever. Well, Debbie was my age. Robin was my sister's age. So Debbie and I went to school together. We had classes together at the local grade school. And one day the teachers call and roll in class, and in front of all the kids, when the teacher called out my name and I said, "Here," Debbie blurts out, "How come your last name is different than the rest of the people in your family?" Well, I didn't even think about it. Look, I don't know. Well, that prompted me, of course, to go home and ask Mom and Pa, what gives? Well, that's when I heard about my father, my deceased father. Let's see, this wire as well. We're gonna just run in there with it. Come on. Nothing. Yeah, it's just strand wire. That's when I heard about my stepfather, or my real father. And my mother told me he had passed away when I was very young. She didn't say how young, just very young. Now this was when I was 9 years old that I asked these questions. And I didn't pay too much attention to it. I mean, it was what it was, you know. You just get this simple explanation and then it's over with. Well, and I thought, okay, question answered, no big deal. But even at that age, when I found out that the man in my life was not my real father, kind of got to me a little bit, you know? Kind of made me just that tiny bit of rebellious. And because of that, well, mine and my stepfather's relationship, we struggled. We really struggled. So, then time goes on. All right? Now, this will become important later on, but I want to tell you that my stepfather, he wasn't brutal, but he was a disciplinarian, and he was not afraid to use what he had was an oak stick, about 1.5 inches in diameter, about 2 feet long. And if you misbehaved, mainly me, he didn't really hit my sisters all that much, just me. What happened was, when I found out about my father, that's when he started getting a little, in retrospect, that's when he started getting a little too liberal with the stick for next to nothing indiscretions. I mean, it just seemed to me like they were out of the blue sometimes. He'd be angry as hell, and I couldn't figure out what I'd done wrong. I'd just get an ass whipping. And you'll forgive my French, but that is the dirty word I'm going to use in this video. And there's a reason for it, and you'll understand in a bit. All right, so I felt like my backside was never going to see the light of day except for that stick. All right? Yeah, I know I got a hell of a mess in here. Okay, what about that cord? There's one right there. Where is these? Okay, moving on in years. My younger sister used to started running away from home all the time. And it was at that time that my stepfather stopped using the stick, started using his hands on me. And yeah, I got another one down there, but I'm satisfied with what I got going right now. So, no more stick. It went hand to hand on me. And my stepfather was a big man. He's a good-sized dude. I'll go right there. Good-sized dude. All right, that's cast. That's gonna stay. This can go. Break. This is gonna get the brass. I want to get to some containers right there and just take all this stuff off because that's going. Okay, back to the story. So, I'm trying to remember where I left off at. Yeah, my sister started running away from home. The old man started losing it. I mean, really bad. So, but my life with him and at home was not my entire life. There were other things that happened. So, where to begin? Girlfriends. The old fat guy had a lot of girlfriends. All right. A lot of girlfriends. In fact, from the time I was 14 until I was, till I met my future wife, I had no less than 23 different girlfriends. When I say girlfriends, I mean girlfriends, not dates, not girls I knew, girlfriends. All right? What a mess. One of those girlfriends, her name was Stacy. I was 15, she was 14. Her mother came to me one day when I was visiting and said, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. And she said, my young daughter is a virgin. She's going to stay a virgin until she gets married. She said, I don't want you or her doing anything. I said, I told her, I said, ma'am, I'm a complete gentleman. My mother taught me to be respectful of women, and I am. I said, but I would not do something like that with your daughter. It's not right. She says, yeah, I know you're not going to, because come with me. Well, another long story short, I think that will let a couple of things on there slide. Tape and stuff. I think that'll go just fine. How do I put this nicely? Stacy was 14, her mother was 38. I was 15. My parents are deceased. All of them. My stepmother, or my father, my mother, my stepfather, all deceased. I never knew. Stacy's mom was a nice lady, let's put it that way. And this was back in the day when that kind of thing was never spoken about to parents. You didn't tell your parents when that kind of thing happened. And you didn't see it as a bad thing. You saw it as a bragging point. My friend, one friend knew. One friend knew. That's all I ever told. And I only told him because he was the only human being I trusted at the time. Him, my friend Ty. He knew. At any rate, 23 girlfriends in 4 years. Okay? I need another tote, which I will go get now. So, moving on in life. Yeah, that's gonna come out today. Another tote for some cords. Might have 2 totes, maybe 2.5. That'd be nice. Okay. That's girlfriend story 1. Here's girlfriend story 2. Young lady I knew named Angela. She was a girl that I thought I would spend the rest of my life with, without a doubt. No questions asked. We talked about it, and I'm getting ahead of myself with her. This is number 1, but it's not pencil thick number 1, so it's going to go in with the number 2. She came into my life about 2 months after Stacy. When Stacy and I broke up. And yeah, this will just go a shred. I saw her one day on my school bus. I'd never seen her before that day. And I thought to myself, this is a goddess. She is just a goddess. Well, I just sat and stared at her until she got off the bus, the first time I saw her. Second time I saw her, I asked her. I said, is anybody sitting with you? And she goes, no. I said, can I sit with you? She goes, of course. No problem. So I sat down with her, and we talked. Now, I don't want to make this too long, so I'll make it short. I sat with her on the bus a couple different times. The main two stories I want to tell you about her are this. One, I asked her if I could call her after we had talked for like 4 or 5 different times. I said, can I call you? She said, no. I said, why not? She said, Silly, you don't have my phone number. I thought, this girl is smart and witty. Sweet, I like her so much more now. And as I said, she was the love of my life. At 15. We were both 15. I was about to turn 16. She had another 5-6 months before she turned 16, but God, I was in love. I mean, head over heels, folks. Head over freaking heels in love. All right? I am going to keep this and strip it. There's some more of it right there. That's staying and being stripped. This is number 1, insulated. That, brother. Yeah, I got one heck of a mess here. Copper area. So, the other story I want to talk about with her, let's just say that eventually her and I broke up. But before we did, long before we did, she told me one day, my parents want to meet you. I said, oh, brother, wonderful, okay. So I went and met her parents. Her father said to me, come with me. Walked with him into the living room of the house. He points up on the wall at a shotgun. And he says to me, you see that? I said, yes, sir. He said, if you ever mess with my daughter, right there's what you're going to get. You see it? I said, yes, sir. He goes, you have anything you want to talk about? I looked up at the shotgun. I looked at him. I said, does it come with shells? He hollered from laughing. He was laughing so loud. He goes, I like you. Don't ever touch my daughter, ever. I said, yes, sir. Yeah, right. Okay, well, you're kids, right? You're going to do things. And we did things. All right, so anyhow, that lasted 3 months and her and I broke up. But it devastated me horribly. Now, in the interim, my stepfather was still hitting me because my sister was still running away from home. And to be honest with you, I was kind of getting tired of being hit. I mean, really tired of it. I mean, sometimes, I can't say I understood it, but sometimes, let's just say sometimes I had it coming. I don't think anybody has that kind of punishment coming, especially father to son, but at any rate, he did it. Well, he would make me get crew cuts all the time. And that pissed me off. I mean, it really pissed me off, guys. Crew cuts. I mean, I was a teenager in the 1970s. And as any of you know, in this country, well, probably for that matter, anywhere in the world, except communist Korea's, China's, whatever. Boys in the 1970s didn't get crew cuts. That echo shred. And you get crew cuts. Boys are wearing their hair feathered in the middle, which I never did. I thought it was a little too effeminate for me. So, it's a long cord right here. With one intertwined. But he would make me get crew cuts all the time. And it just tore me to hell. I hated it. And he would either sit inside the barber shop and laugh the whole time, or he would wait out in the car and while I was getting my hair cut. And when I'd get out to the car, well, then he would laugh. Laugh like I'll get out. Last crew cut I got, I was 17 years old. He insisted I go with him. So I went with him. He wouldn't let me drive to the barber shop myself. You know, I could drive at the time, I had a license, everything. He went with me. And my mother came with too, because she wanted out of the house. Well, we were sitting out in the car, and I get done, get my hair all cut, brassies. Yeah, that's copper maybe. I get out to the car, I get in, and by this time, I had been in a couple fights at school. Oh, more than a couple actually. None that I started, because I didn't do that. Boy, this is pretty thick. So, I thought, you know what? I'm not taking another slapping around from this guy. So I got in the car and I said, if you laugh at me this time, I'm gonna kick the hell out of you. I'm gonna kick your ass. He got out of the car, opens the back door, pulls me out of the car and starts slapping the hell out of me. Well, I fought back a little bit, to his surprise, but it didn't really work out that well for me. But I at least felt like he was on notice. So, one short month later, just one short month later, I was waiting for the school bus at the bus stop. And here comes the bus, and I am standing at the front of the line. There's kids behind me, not in a straight line like the bus driver wanted, so we could file on in an orderly manner. No. These kids were pushing to be first, so they were pushing on me, and that's right. And that's cut. There we go, cords are pretty much done. I got that stuff there, but that's gonna be stripped. All right, so, long story short, I grab a hold of the handrail to get onto the bus, and what happens? Bus driver's angry. So what does she do? She shuts the door to the bus and takes off. Not this one. Dragging me along for the ride. This is all gonna be shred stuff here. Just dragging me along, dragging me along, dragging me along. And I'm hollering the whole time. Other kids are laughing and screaming, "Hey, God, you're killing him." Well, she stopped at the next stop sign. I got my hand out and I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm going home. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going home. So I went home. And didn't go to school that day. Well, school called my mother, and my mother called my stepfather at work. Told him I didn't go to school. Now, my mother worked. Both my parents worked. Yeah, see that? Look at that wire. That's gonna get stripped. All right, I just gotta find the prayers for it. Yeah, for now, right here. So, Hillman comes home, grabs me, says, wait a minute, I can't go there. Grabs me by the shirt, like so, takes this hand and goes like this. Goes, why the hell did you go to school? I explained everything to him. And he swatted me right upside the head. Well, guys, at that point, I told myself, this is the last time that I'm getting an ass beaten from this guy. He hit me once, and I told him, I said, I'm sorry. He goes, I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to go to effing school. I said, oh no, I'm not sorry about that. He goes, what are you talking about? I need him in the nuts. He doubled over, and I beat him so bad, so bloody, and so terrible. My mother had to go get 2 neighbors to help pick him up off the floor and get him in bed. She's hollering at me the whole time that I'm doing this, telling me I'm gonna kill him. You're gonna kill him. And she's hitting me, just slapping me. And I told her, I said, I'm not gonna kill him, Ma. Not even close. But he's never gonna hit me again. Ever. A day later or so, he's still in bed. He can't go to work. I had effed him up really good. I didn't feel tougher about it. I didn't feel good about it. All I knew was I didn't want him to ever do that to me again. What he had been doing. So, now, please understand, in my area where I lived, the police, it's a very small town. I'm gonna see if I can break this in half. Let's get it out in the open some. The police were small town guys. There was only a chief of police and 2 cops for the whole entire town. And me and my friends were decent kids. We knew the chief. All right, you know what? This is gonna have to be done a different way. I'm gonna have to smash this lengthways and then fold it in on itself. So, I'll tell you a quick story about me and my friends dealing with the chief of the village. He was an old school cop, very old school. We had a young friend, 2 years our junior, who was a target for village tough guys. They would pick on him because he was an easy target. And, geez. And many times the parents would call the cops. Cops would come. And they would say, well, ma'am, sir, there's no hell of a lot we can do, blah, blah, blah. So, me and my friend heard this, him. We asked the cop, I said, what would happen if we found them, took them to a dark alley, and, you know, put a stop to this crap. Chief takes off his glasses. He says, boys, I think I'm due to have my eyes examined, so I'm not seeing so well anymore. We got the gist. So, of course, we took it into our own hands. Now, why am I telling you that? Well, because my mother called the same cop. But unbeknownst to my mother, was kept quiet. The law knew what the old man was doing to me. They knew the whole time, because I told them. I told him what he was doing. That's got those two in it. I'll get those out. And I'm gonna let that, anything that's got too many of these in, I'm letting it go. Now it doesn't go with sheet steel. I'm not gonna mess with it. I just want it out of here. So, the chief knew. Chief knew what was going on. And nothing happened. I didn't get in any kind of trouble for what I did to my stepfather. Nothing. All right? Now, I went to my stepfather after he recovered a bit, and I told him, I said, you ever touch me again? What I did to you is gonna be nothing compared to what I do to you. If you touch me again, I said, I will kill you. Without question, I will kill you. He assured me. Never again. I promise you. I won't ever touch you again. He goes, I'm just wondering. This is exactly what he said. I was just wondering what took you so long. He goes, you put up with that crap for a long time, boy. I was expecting what you did a whole lot sooner. He said you had the spark and you at the barbershop. But he said, it didn't happen that day. The only time my stepfather ever punished one of the girls in the family, one of my sisters, I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't stand it. I begged him to stop. I gotta have a smoke, folks. And a drink. The reason why it bothered me was because of the way my mother raised me. What my mother told me about girls. I couldn't stand watching a girl get hurt. Now I had more cords. So much so that one time, him and I and that younger friend that we talked to the chief about, we're out riding around in his car. His car. We drove by this group of houses, and in the front yard of one of them, I see this man just throwing this woman all over the place. He'd throw her, she'd fall down, he'd go pick her up, throw her, just on and on. I told my friend, I said, pull over, man. He goes, what? I said, no, pull over. He pulled over, stopped the car, I got out, and I went and I kicked the hell out of that guy. And I told the lady, go in the house and call the cops. She started hitting me. Turns out, husband and wife, he was drunk, she was a little drunk, but they were having an argument. I went home, told my parents what happened. Just in case the chief might come over, ask questions. He never did, by the way. Though we did talk about it at another time alone. That is all I'm going to tell you about my teenage years, except that when I was 17, I met my wife-to-be. Right now, we're going to step back in time to my stepfather before my mother. There are some words on YouTube you can't use. They might get your channel shut down, demonetized, something. My stepfather and 3 men he knew worked for some people. Here's where I can't say certain words. Let's just say they worked for people who had vowels at the end of their names, if you know what I mean. They worked between Chicago and Milwaukee. Chicago's south there, Milwaukee's north there. And the cities in between, Racine, Kenosha. All right, so they did 2 things for them. They drove cab in Kenosha because the fellows with vowels at the end of their names owned all the cab companies in Kenosha. And they also would on occasion take people, only men, out into the woods. And those men would not come back. For whatever reason. Now I tell you all this because all 4 of these gentlemen my ass, all 4 of these miscreants are dead. All right? Now I say miscreants because I don't have a clue as to why they did what they did. My stepfather knew that I could handle myself. Do it well. And after high school, I went in the Army. Worked in the military police. And I was not a great big guy, but I was big enough. We're talking 6 foot. And when I left the military, I weighed about 216, 220 pounds, somewhere in there. All right. I don't have room for that yet, so I'm leaving that up on the roof. All right. We will come back for this stuff. A little progress, right? Might have 40 bucks worth of cords. That'd be nice. So, the old man knew all this shit. And when I got out of the military, there was not much work in the area. And I'm kind of reluctant to talk about this, but in order to understand why I did what I did, I have to tell you this. Since there was no work, I was told before I left the military, if you can't find a job, go apply for unemployment. You can get unemployment. Well, I applied and they turned me down. For a stinking 88 bucks a week, they turned me down. My mother told me, because my mother was a left-winger, huge left-winger. She said, and I didn't know about this. She said, you got a baby to feed, a little kid to feed. You and your wife, you need a place to stay. She said, go down and apply for AFDC, which is welfare. So we did. But at the same time, I played live music. Not a lot, but enough. A little bit of money. I'm not proud of my time on AFDC. And my stepfather came to me one day and he said, son, I want to talk to you. But he said, what I want to talk to you about has to stay between you and I. It cannot go any further than you and I, whether you say yes or no. Do you understand? I said, I do. Let me get these off the dash. I said, okay, coochies, bug. So, he takes me to a tavern. Say which one. Get a pitcher of beer, we go sit down. He says to me, how are you doing on money? I said, well, we're on welfare and the band plays when it plays, you know. He said, would you be interested in earning some money? He said, at first it won't be a lot, but you can earn some money. He said, it's the kind of money you don't have to pay taxes on. You just can't tell anybody you haven't. I said, okay, where do I go to work? He said, no. You don't go to a job. He said, you work one day, half a day at the most. And at the beginning, you'll make maybe 250 bucks. I said, okay. Thinking 250 bucks, how that's my rent. That's how much I'm paying in rent. At this time, I'm 22. I don't know anything. I'm oblivious to everything at the time. No knowledge of anything. Everything I told you about them driving cab for the men with vowels at the end of their names and taking folks into the woods, at that time I did not know about this stuff. I didn't. Because by the time he was in my life, that part of his life was over with. They didn't do that anymore. So what work did he want me to do? Well, it wasn't him that wanted me to do it. Turns out, via a chain of different people, it was the people with vowels at the end of their name. What did they want me to do? Women are not to be touched. There's a code. You don't touch a woman. You don't hurt a woman. At all. And if you do, you're gonna pay. And not in a nice way. I am not going to give you specifics, folks. And here we are at this point, and you may not believe a word of this, but I'm promising you, this is the truth. I am trying to tell you this so you understand what kind of human being I am. Long story short, 6 times in my life, I was paid money and given gratuities to not kill, because I didn't do that. I didn't take anybody out in the woods. I just took them outside and made them understand. And from that moment on, after I was done, you're going to touch a woman again in your life. Because if you do, it won't be me coming back to see you next time. It's going to be somebody else. There's more, way more to this. We're going to get to the scrapyard. I'm going to show you the weigh-in, the secondary weight. Finally. Thought the green light was busted. All right, let's get on the gloves. All right, 5820, 540 pounds. All right.
Just have sheet iron?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right. 5380. So first load's 540. Let's see if we can do a half ton of stale today. I hope so.